without any further ado, and remembering the mic because we are recording this, I'm going to introduce Yoeri. And in fact, I'm going to make it very easy and just hand over to this idea of being able to take a game and sell it is the classic problem everybody has. And so, what better to do than to talk to a guy who's had to deal with that problem? Yoeri, after you.
Hello everyone, my name is Yoeri STAAL. I'm going to present how I sold SteamyBalls, a game that nobody wanted, nobody knows, which has a really awkward title, but I still managed to do it. You all saw it on the program, SteamyBalls, and you still came, so I'm very glad that I have an audience. Thank you very much for that. So I'll start with showing you the team. The game was made by two people. The first was Carlos. Carlos is the owner of Duke Carl Games, which is a Flash portal and a game development portal. My name is Yoeri STAAL. I'm the founder of STAAL Media, and I'm a freelance game developer. So, I think that a game developer needs two traits: imagination and bravery. You need the imagination to come up with worlds, storylines, characters, etc. And you also need to be creative enough to think about where you want to go with a certain game. If you don't have imagination, you can always make clones and stuff, but yeah, we need innovators as well. On the other side, there's bravery. You have to have the bravery to step forward and actually show the people your idea, show them that show them that it's important for you to bring it out there. The artwork you see here on the left is a piece of artwork for a game I made. I told the artist to draw a space shuttle which crashed into a castle on top of a cliff. It was basically to test his skills, and he still pulled it off. I mean, you need a lot of imagination to pull that one off. On the right side is a picture from another game I made called A Night to Remember. It's about a knight with amnesia who still fights for whatever he believes in, even though he kind of forgot what it's all about. So he's brave without question, actually. So the first version of SteamyBalls was called Train Balls. It had train tracks with colored balls rolling over them, and you had to switch the train tracks to redirect the balls into the right colored bucket. The balls are constantly moving, so you have to have both puzzle skills to figure out where the balls are going, and reactions to be in time. So, the first step in making this game more awesome, because it didn't look very well, was find a better artist. So Carlos found a better artist. This is what he came up with. Of course, it looks better. However, there was a problem. The artist took way too long to deliver the goods, and he also didn't deliver everything. I mean, he just let it all slide and still got paid for it. So Carlos had a very big problem. He had half a game and no more money. And to make matters worse, he had to sell his PlayStation 3 in order to be able to pay the artist for half a game. So, Timeout. This is like the lowest point that this game has ever seen. And if you know a bit about the show by Gordon Ramsay, where he saves restaurants from bankruptcy, someone needs to step in and save the day. So that's where I come into the story. I was going to save the guy. I would spend some money on better assets, and then we would have a game, a successful game, and everything would be great. So the first step was to think of a new theme. And the problem with Train Balls was that it had trains and balls, which makes absolutely no sense. But I like the balls part. I mean, let's keep that in the title, right? And people were already saying, it reminds me of a game called Train Yard. So I said the first thing that has to go is the train part, right? If it looks too much like another game, get that part out. So me and the artist were discussing what would be like the worst title we can still get away with. Well, that was SteamyBalls. And from there, we started to develop the game. Like, how are we going to implement it? So we came up with the idea to make the balls made of steam. The color would still make sense because there's all kinds of chemical reactions you can use to make colored balls of steam. And the train tracks would be replaced by factory tubes. So the whole new identity of the game, and here I define identity as a unique theme. Like, what would be the shortest sentence you can use to still describe a game? You know, like a plumber jumping around or flinging birds at pigs who stole eggs or something like that. So ours was a penguin, a steampunk penguin in a factory filled with steamy balls. Or just steamy balls would be enough, actually. No, everything made sense together. The artwork was all done by the same person, and we had a great game. So now the next step was to sell it. Oh. And that didn't go so well. This is the graph of the value of the game, like the highest bid. And straight away someone made us a nice offer, which was more or less the break-even point. So we were quite happy, not counting the work, though. We worked on it for a couple of months. But still, it wouldn't be a total loss. However, after that, it took about 2 or 3 months. All the vertical bars are 2 weeks. And nobody would bid for the game. So I mailed people around and I told other sponsors to look at the game, to buy it, and nobody would want to buy it because they all looked at each other and thought, well, I can't sponsor a game called SteamyBalls, you know? So I went to another sponsor I knew from another game I made, Cloud Wars, and instead of redirecting him to the game, I just told him, hey, listen, I made an awesome game, and you probably want it. So here's the price you can pay for it, and then you can have it, which was 4 times the break-even point. And, well, he took the bait. So that's how I sold a game that nobody wanted to buy. So as a final slide, I will show you the soundtrack, which is also quite awesome. On the left, you can see a band called Stomp. It's a band that uses household items to make music. So they're banging on buckets and metal pipes and stuff to make beats. I like that. On the other hand, the original Train Balls had a very boring soundtrack. So I thought, what's the music we can use which would not get boring very fast? And I came up with a blues track because it has a lot of different measures, a lot of variation in it, while still having like the same beat going over and over again. So I thought that would match with a factory. So I'm gonna show you this the soundtrack by playing the game. Let's hope this works. And then slowly more and more instruments join in. And well, that was the story. Any questions?
Any questions? Got one down here.
I don't necessarily fully understand what you mean by someone who acquired the game. Like, who were you marketing it to?
Oh, this was a flash game, so it doesn't work with publishers like mobile games. You basically auction the rights to show ads or a logo for a sponsor at the start of the game. So when you start up a game and you see like the Big Fish logo, that's because they bid on the game.
I had a second question, and that was about the audio. You say it was a blues track. Did you just have it re-recorded? Or did you have a variation of the track? I mean, I'm not sure about the copyright of the song or whatever, but let's say that I wanted to pick a song, I would normally have to get it re-recorded.
Oh yeah, this is recorded. Well, not really. It was made in, I think, Fruity Loops. I would ask my composer, but he really made the song from scratch. But the blues pattern is of course fixed. The chords are in a certain order.
I see.
So, any more questions? I've got a couple myself.
Okay.
So, I mean, it seems like a very different market to what I'm familiar with in terms of mobile. I mean, so when you start thinking about a project like this, I mean, obviously you came in later, but more generally, you know, what's your sort of thought process about how you're going to create a game, what the audience is going to be like? How does that affect the way that you come about the process of planning game design?
The development process is different for every game. I mean, some you can create from scratch, and then you think up front what you're gonna do with it. And in this case, Carl came to me and he asked, like, yeah, I have this game, and I have no idea what to do with it. So then the game design came in halfway. Basically, I had to redesign the whole game within a steampunk factory setting, which is completely different from usual, where I think up the game design from scratch.
But it sounds like you're not coming from because what I'm increasingly seeing and increasingly talking about with developers is, you know, to think about the audience of the play, who's going to play the game, but not just you know, the game I would like to play, but also trying to look at other audiences, you know, people, you know, trying to come up with personalities that I invent to give me a chance to think about how the game works for other people. Is that something that you think might become important in the kind of games you're doing, or is that something that's a bit alien?
I never make a game for a specific audience, like for boys, for girls, or anything. And I don't believe that you can really expect a certain audience to play your game. For example, with SteamyBalls, it's kind of weird that it exploded in China. So like 75% of the players are from China. And the best part is that if you look at the visiting graphs, you see that they play in the weekends, like a lot, and then pretty much nothing during the week. So somehow people go home on Friday, Saturday, and play a lot of SteamyBalls. And I mean a lot. And
there's a whole different analogy going on in you lot. I'm staying out of that.
But that's something that you can expect up front. I mean, if I would tell Carlos, well, this is going to be played by Chinese people in the weekends, nobody would have believed me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting, and I think it's also a different pattern. But what I'm still struggle with is, you know, what makes us find an audience for a game. I mean, you know, we can cover it after the event like we have here, but at the end of the day, are we talking about people who come and try a game once, or are we talking about people who come back and play time and time again? Were you able to get any data in terms of the usage?
Yes. SteamyBalls is extremely difficult. I can't even complete it myself. It's that's difficult. And people will return a lot to try to finish it anyway. So at level 5 or 6 out of 30, the difficulty spikes, and you see people return later and then start at level 6 again, and try it until they can finally move on.
Cool. So I think that's me done for questions. Any more? Anyone else want to talk about their SteamyBalls? Oh, come on, it was a gift. I mean, I have to. And that, I'm going to thank Yoeri. Thank you so much for that.